Have you ever felt like the deeper you think, the more distant you become from the world? It's not in your imagination. The more you see, the harder it is to unsee. And in a society that runs on comfort, illusion, and routine, seeing clearly can feel more like a burden than a gift. Deep thinkers don't just observe life, they dissect it. They notice patterns others overlook. They question what most accept. And that, right there, is where the distance begins. Throughout history, the minds that challenged convention, from Diogenes to Simone Weil, were labeled difficult, strange, or even dangerous, not because they were wrong, but because they refused to play along. They didn't echo what was familiar. They asked why it was there in the first place. But why is this pattern so consistent? Why does thinking deeply so often lead to isolation? The answer lies in something few people admit: the fear of reflection. You see, intelligence doesn't shout, it reflects. When a deep thinker speaks, they don't just share ideas. They hold up a mirror. And most people aren't ready to see their own contradictions, insecurities, or borrowed beliefs staring back at them. It's like this. If you stand next to someone stronger than you, you might feel inspired. If they're wealthier, maybe envious. But when you meet someone whose thoughts stretch further than yours, it touches something raw. Because while muscles and money are external, ideas challenge who we are on the inside. We are what we think. And when someone questions the foundations of those thoughts, the ego doesn't always take it well. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort we feel when our beliefs are challenged. And in those moments, most people don't pause to reflect. They defend, they reject, they label the thinker as too intense, too serious, or out of touch. So the deep thinker, rather than being embraced, becomes a threat, not because of hostility, but because of honesty. And here's the paradox. The more someone seeks truth, the lonelier that path can become. Not because people dislike the truth, but because they prefer the version of it that comforts them. Let's take it deeper. Modern society is designed for quick fixes, not deep dives. Social media rewards the loudest voice, not the wisest. We scroll past nuance and reward the soundbite. And the deeper the idea, the harder it is to make it viral. In this world, thinkers are often outpaced by performers. This doesn't mean intelligence is doomed to isolation, but it does mean deep thinkers have to choose carefully when to speak, whom to share with, and how much of their inner world to reveal. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once said, "A high degree of intellect tends to make a man unsocial." And perhaps he was right, because the more you understand not just facts, but people, motives, the fragility of meaning, the harder it is to pretend you don't. But here's a truth you need to hear. Being misunderstood doesn't mean you're broken. Feeling alone in your thoughts doesn't mean you're lost. It means you see further than most are willing to look. And that's not a flaw. That's a sign that your mind doesn't settle for surface-level answers. A sign that your soul is more interested in truth than in comfort. So, if you've ever been the one to ask questions that others avoid, or to think thoughts that no one around you shares, don't shrink. Because while the world may not always understand you, it needs you. It needs those who can see through the noise, question the routine, and offer depth in an age drowning in distraction. The world may not reward you with applause, but it may remember you by the echoes of the questions you dared to ask.